Now, while you're watching the video, please like, subscribe to my channel, click the bell icon for notification of future videos, and share this video also. Thank you.
Thus saith the Lord, I am sought of them that ask not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me, unto a nation that was not called by my name. A nation that was not called by my name. We'll soon find out who that is. I have spread out my hand all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in the way that was not good, after their own thoughts. In Romans chapter 10, verse 20 to 21, Paul says, But Isaiah is very bold, and said, I was found of them that sought me not. I was made manifest unto them that asked not after me. But to Israel he said, All day long I have stretched forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. So Paul applies Isaiah right here, you understand, in order to teach a truth to the Romans, right? Telling them that I was found of you who didn't seek me. That is what God says, I was made manifest unto you that haven't asked for me. Because it says, them that ask not after me. That is the Gentiles, So this is what Paul wrote here in Romans 10 verse 20 to 21. Telling the Gentiles this, that God has to say to them, that I have been found of you. This is what he wrote to the Romans. Rebuking the Israel. You understand? When God says, But to Israel he said, All day long I stretch forth my hands unto a disobedient and gainsaying people. He's actually quoting verse 1 and 2 of Isaiah 65. Where Isaiah 65 verse 1 is talking the Gentiles who found God while they didn't seek after him. No, who found God while they never asked for him, should say. Right? And verse 2 to the Gentiles, to the Israelites who are rebellious. You understand? Who walk it in the way that was not good, after their own thoughts. Right? Verse 3 tell how they provoke God to anger. Right? Sacrificing in the garden and burning incense upon bricks. Right? Being at the graves and lodging the monuments, eating swine flesh and the blood of abominable things is in their vessels. Which say, and this is a point that I want to note, stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense unto their bosom, your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers together, saith the Lord, which have burned incense upon the mountains, and blasphemed me upon the hills. Therefore will I measure their former work into their bosom. We read in Luke chapter 18, the same imagery, you understand, is being depicted. Luke 18 in a parable, verse 9 to 14. And he spake this parable unto certain which trusted in themselves, that they were righteous and despised others. This is what we read in Isaiah 65, I am holier than thou, so don't come near to me. You understand? And Jesus gave the parable about the Pharisee and the publican. The Pharisee stood and prayed thus with himself, God, I thank you that I am not as other men, as extortioners, unjust, adulterers, or even as that publican. Why? I fast twice in the week, and I give tithes of all that I possess. This is how he's boasting now, saying I give tithes of all that I possess. But Jesus says, and the publican standing afar off would not lift up so much as his eyes unto heaven, but smote upon his breast, saying, God be merciful to me, a sinner. I tell you, this man went down to his house more justified than the other. For everyone that exalted himself shall be abased, and he that humbleth himself shall be exalted. We find Jesus saying also in Matthew chapter 23 to his disciples, verse 1 to 7. He instructed the disciples that the Pharisees, they must observe all that they bid them to do. But don't do after their works, because they bind every burden that are grievous to be borne, lay them on men's shoulders, but they themselves will not move them with one of their fingers. Right? But all their works they do to be seen of men. right? They like to be in the upper rooms, the uppermost rooms at feasts, and chief, and they want the chief seats in the synagogue, and greetings in the markets, and to be called rabbi, and so forth. For praise and so forth. This is why they do they do what they do. They love to be praised. You understand? And they love attention. And Jesus said in John chapter 7 verse 19, did not Moses give you the law, and yet none of you keep it? Why go you about to kill me? And it's rather ridiculous, when you're thinking of that. They're accusing Jesus, you understand, of teaching things contrary to the law and so forth. And they themselves are plotting to kill him. The very same law says that they shouldn't kill him, and they are plotting to kill Jesus. Thus their hypocrisy is shown right there. And I want to say this to you, that I Kismar, I was just like that back in the day. When I was a Seventh-day Adventist, I was very studious, you understand. The minute I recommit, you understand, that would have been in 2015. In no time I started to, my associates was mostly the elders, those who are older than I am, right? Because I wanted to learn from them and so forth. I had no time for idols, so I thought in my mind. You understand? Whenever Sabbath school lesson is being read on Saturdays, and the teacher would ask, how many of you read? My hands are always up. How many lessons did I read between Sunday to Friday? I read every single one of them from Sunday, go straight back to Friday, go straight back to Saturday actually. You understand? I read all of the lessons. When some would say they do 2 for the week, 3 for the week, 4 for the week, I'm reading all 7, 6 or 7. I don't remember how many lessons it were, but I'm reading all of them. You understand? And I'm consistent every single week. I went to a workshop and got my certificate in lay evangelism. In lay evangelism, I'll show you one of these days on the on my channel. I should have took it up, but another time I'll show you. I have my certificate to show. And in no time I was working, and I was doing Bible work, laboring to save souls. I was even doing a part of their colporteur ministry or canvassing, where I sell books and so forth. Man, I was on fire for God. I was on fire for God, and I was like the marvel of most of them who know me when I was going to church. He's so young, full of passion and full of zeal and so forth. They used to talk some wonderful things about me when I was going there. I was ever so interested in the things of God. You understand? And due to that, I used to compare myself with the rest of the young persons around me. They are not doing the same things that I am doing. You understand? They are not sacrificing for God the way that I do. You understand? They didn't quit their job like I did. You understand? I made mention of that, in my 3-part series on coming out of Adventism. And I think the part that talks about my life when I was a Seventh-day Adventist. Even though I was struggling, to keep everything, I was really trying. Unlike my peers who weren't, you understand, trying as much as I am, I took it seriously. And as a result, I felt I was better than them. It's funny, that some of them would sue me now and try to judge me and so forth for not following Adventism, and they themselves don't even try to keep it. Some of them, they don't pay it as serious. They're not as serious with it as how I was. And so I used to compare myself with them because of that. No, not praying for them and so forth, wondering to myself why they like that, not wanting to be like them. I had to be rebuked by my church mother before, at the time when I was a Seventh-day Adventist. She rebuked me and saying, you're so self-righteous and stuff, because if I find somebody do something, I would just be like condemning them, talking how they say they are Christian, whatever and thing. I don't try to pray for them, nothing like that. I was rebuked by a neighbor beside me once before. They're not living here anymore, saying that you act like you're perfect and so forth. I was rebuked by my co-workers. You understand? At a place, the place where I used to work, that I made mention that I left when I started to take the Seventh-day Adventist thing serious. I left it to keep the Sabbath and so forth. I remember one of them had to say the same thing to me. You act like you're perfect and so forth. A girl that I was talking to once too did have to rebuke me also and say you act like you're perfect and so forth. Oh my God, everyone around me, I would have made their life hard. I think I would have pushed people away because they wouldn't want to hang around someone like me. Anytime anybody slip up, I'm always there. And guess what? I was a big hypocrite. When I say I was a big hypocrite, I was a big hypocrite because I wasn't perfect either. But here my problem was. My problem was I am doing a lot of good works. Better works than what persons like that my age are doing. So that cancels out my little sin, you know. You understand? Because I'm doing so much spectacular things for my age as a young person, always studying. I'm reading Ellen White books and I'm drilling my Bible like crazy. They aren't doing those stuff. Therefore, my sin is being excused while theirs are upheld in the sight of God. Yeah? Did you get that? That was the type of mentality that I had when I was a Seventh-day Adventist. God had to cut me down to size, you understand, and cause me to know myself, to really search myself and see my own wretchedness. Because guess what? You see, my sin, it's just as how should I put it? My sin is just as capable of keeping me out of heaven, just as as other sins that I try to look for in other brethren. Because it's stated in the New Testament that it can keep you out of heaven. Just as those other sins that I'm looking for in other people, my one can keep me out of heaven too. If God didn't deliver me, perhaps I would have been lost. To how self-righteous I was. And all the while I think I'm going up into heaven, not knowing how deplorable I was in the sight of God because of my self-righteousness. But what is the cause? My self-righteousness and hypocrisy. And what is the cause of such self-righteousness and hypocrisy among us Christians today? The cause of this is the gospel. The gospel is taught to us, right, in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 to 10. It says, "For by grace are ye saved through faith, and that not of yourselves. This is a gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. For we are his workmanship, created in Christ Jesus unto good works, which God hath before ordained that we should walk in them." What are we saved by? Grace through faith. It is not, and not of ourselves. So what are we not saved by? Ourselves, right? Or our works. We are not saved by ourselves, and we are not saved by our works. We are saved by grace through faith. It is the gift of God. However, the disclaimer here is that Paul is not diminishing good works, you know. He did say in verse 10 that we are ordained to walk in them. That is good works, you know. We are created in Christ Jesus, who has ordained that we should walk in them. But when we will walk in them, notice, you know, Paul is deliberate, you know. After he has mentioned how he becomes saved, you know, he put good works right after, you know, in verse 10, you know. Thus he's showing that salvation, that faith alone equals salvation plus good works. But the false gospel of this day and age teaches that faith plus works equals salvation. So you can say that a part of verse 9, let me tell you how the model of salvation is now in the Christian world. That work. They believe that you are saved by faith plus works. Faith plus works equals salvation. Right? Now, the problem with this, you know, with the latter is that anything that leads to salvation must be perfect. You must have perfect works, faith in order to be saved. You must have perfect faith in order to be saved. Right? But for them, you have to have faith and works to be saved. But if that's the case, you know, you need perfect faith plus perfect works. None of us has perfect works to offer. You understand? And so if that model is true, then all of us are toast. Because James said in chapter 3, speaking to the Israelites, he said, in many things we offend. And when he says we, you know, as an apostle, he's including himself. You understand that even him himself is included in many things they offend. You understand? So if it is that we must have perfect faith and perfect works, we will not be saved. But if we must have perfect faith, then there is hope for all of us. Right? Because having gotten that perfect faith and got salvation, you can wobble in the works, you know. You can wobble in the works because a just man falleth 7 times and rise again. Notice the text in Proverbs, you know, it says you're just, you know. It's okay for the just man to fall in. And notice it didn't say, you know, the man who falls 7 times isn't just, you know. It says that a just man falleth 7 times. This means that even a just man will fall. This is what it is saying, you know. Even the just man will fall. The only just person who never fall is Christ. So you can wobble where the works is concerned. But because faith equals salvation plus works, even if you wobble with the works, your salvation won't be affected. But if faith plus works equals salvation, you can't wobble with the works, you know, because you're toast. You won't have the proper equivalency in order to get salvation if salvation is by faith plus works. You get it? So the problem that we have as Christians is that there is a false gospel among us. This false gospel can be found in Jehovah's Witness that teach that you must do a certain amount of hours per week and so forth or per month, and a plethora of other things they teach which I won't get into. Mormons and their temple service, they're almost like Jehovah's Witness when it comes to works and so forth. United Pentecostal and Apostolic, you must speak in tongues, you must baptize using a certain formula, and you must be baptized too in order to be saved, you know. So that means that those who don't get baptized, you know, they are toast. You understand? So those who are confined in prison bed and can't get deep into the water, dog name them supper. You understand? Because they must have works too in order to be saved. Faith plus works equals salvation. And if they don't speak in tongues, they toast. If they don't use a certain formula, they toast. So all who did baptize with a wrong formula, you understand? That means they're toast. You understand? If they baptize with a wrong formula. For Sabbatarians, SDA, and a lot of them, you must keep the Sabbath. None of them keep the Sabbath. If you have been following my channel from now, you will see that they don't. You understand? So you must keep Sabbath. You must eat a certain way. You must dress a certain way. And a host of other things that you must do and must not do. For if you don't abide by these things, you will not be saved. You can't wobble where that is concerned. You understand? It's either or you're toast. That is their gospel. And because of these persons who are doing these things that they require, you understand? They are going to feel in themselves that they are better than other Christians who aren't doing it. Because this is what it often leads to, you know. Because you're doing these things, you feel in yourself that you're better than those who aren't doing it. Just like Kismar of old. You understand? Just like Kismar of old. And so this is what we need to fix. And what I want to say to you, those churches that I mentioned, you know, it's not them alone have a false gospel, you know. You find the same thing, even the evangelical circle, those who claim that they are orthodox. You understand? There are a lot of them who still don't understand the gospel in its fullest sense. And because of this, we are going to always have this judgmental mentality. Yes, you may not fornicate, you may not commit adultery, but you're a lie. You understand? Your heart is full of envy, your heart is full of jealousy, your heart is full of malice, your heart is full of grudge. You understand? And all kind of iniquity. You envy your church brother who have an anointing that you would hope to possess. Not knowing, you know, that anointing, you know, that particular gift makes up the body according to 1 Corinthians chapter 12. So when you bad mind that individual because in your mind they're taking your shine and they're taking the spotlight, you're at variance with the work of God who gave that anointing or who gave that gift. But because you don't fornicate and you don't commit adultery, you think you're better than that person. I look at this guy who is preaching every single day and so forth. Feels as though he's better than person because he is on YouTube every day and you are not on YouTube. So therefore, I'm a better Christian than you. That was the mentality that I have then, you know, but not now. I'm just in need of grace and in need of God's mercy every single day as you who are watching this video. Whatever God gives to me is because of his goodness, you understand, and his great love towards me. Not because I am here preaching video and doing videos every day. No, it's because of God's goodness. You understand? Because our works will never be like that of Christ. And because it can never match up to Christ, none of us has the right to say that we are better than anyone or any feelings of entitlement. You understand? Say God must do this because we are doing this, that, and so forth. Which of us can say that because of our works, it qualifies us to get this or get that? None of us can say that. And my friends, if today you're like this, having a spirit of judgment, a spirit of condemnation in your heart towards person, a spirit of hypocrisy, while you're looking on person's sin, you have your very own to look on. God can deliver you from this. He delivered me from it, you understand, and he can do the same for you. No more can anyone say that I am self-righteous. Those persons who condemn me and say I act self-righteous, you won't find that anymore coming from me. I have gotten so grown, you understand, as a Christian, that even when I see a person, I had to talk to someone before when they're mentioning to me about a person who say they are a Christian and so forth and do this. And I have to say to them, pray for that individual because none of us is perfect. That is how grown I am. The kiss man back then who would say, boy, I saw some Christians there. The kiss man now is admonishing. Pray for that individual. This is how grown I am. And that same individual, I went and talked to the person and said, listen, you need to fix that, And I'm not judging you because I am far from perfect to myself. I am far, far from perfect. But yeah, you need to fix it and God can help you to fix that. You understand? This is the type of attitude that we all need to have as Christians. And we can only achieve this attitude when we get it right. When we get back to the word and understand the gospel. That because we couldn't save ourselves, you understand, God sent his son in the likeness of sinful flesh, came down and do for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. Right? So that the righteousness of God could be manifest in those who walk not after the spirit, but after the flesh. You understand? It is because we couldn't save ourselves and our works were never good in the sight of God. If it is that we could be perfect or manifest a type of works that is satisfying to God, that is without fault or flaw, Jesus will have no reason to die on the cross. So keep these things in mind, and I pray that this message will have an impact on you and that you will be able to apply what you will have learned today. And may this day forward, from this day forward, you will live a life of prayer for your brethren. If you find a fault in them, go and talk to them personally. You understand? And pray for them. You understand? Or if not, get one of the elders to do it or the pastors to do it. But don't go around pointing fingers, because such a behavior is not capable of bringing people to Christ. You understand? Because when unbelievers see us act this way towards each other, they are not going to want to come to Christ. They are going to say, this is how we as Christians behave. I don't want anything to do with that. You understand? Let us help build up one another and bear with one another, and let us stop condemning each other, and let us stop judging each other. Because sometimes even the very things, the sin that you think you see in your brother, or you think that something is, you understand? If you go and talk to that person, you may find out that what you think is actually isn't, and you may be amazed that you're judging that person wrongfully. You understand? You don't know the life story. You don't know why they do what they do. You cannot read their hearts. You cannot read their thoughts. Maybe if you know how the thoughts were, you understand? You say, Jah, my God, this is how your chain of thoughts is going. Surprised to know that their hearts are so pure towards your brother. And you're saying, how am I judging this person so much because of that? And I never know that they have such a beautiful heart. You understand? So this is what I'm saying to you. We can do it, guys, if we try. God delivered me from this, and he can do the same for you. Bye-bye now.